Gentlemen, imagine this: you're sipping your morning coffee, flipping through a handful of pocket change from years gone by, and there it is. A small, copper coin. Scratched. Ordinary. Or so you thought. But that same coin, just a 1962 D Lincoln penny, could actually be worth $1.80 million. Yes. 1 penny. 1 moment. One life-changing find. Today, we're diving deep into a coin that has stunned collectors, shaken the numismatic world, and put jaw-dropping amounts of money into the hands of regular Americans, folks just like you. So grab your coffee, sit back, and listen close. By the end of this video, you might just want to dig through that old cigar box or dusty jar in the garage. Because buried in plain sight could be your ticket to a millionaire lifestyle. You'll want to stick around until the end, because I'll reveal a hidden trait that separates the $1.8 million 1962 D penny from the pocket change we ignore every day. To understand the power of this coin, we first need to rewind. It's 1962. John F. Kennedy is in the White House. Elvis is on every jukebox. Gas is just 28 cents a gallon. And over in Denver, millions of Lincoln pennies are rolling off the mince presses. The 1962 D Lincoln Memorial penny, minted in Denver, is part of a legacy started back in 1909. That's when Abraham Lincoln became the first historical figure on a circulating U.S. coin. Fast forward to 1959, and the reverse design was changed from wheat stalks to the Lincoln Memorial, marking 50 years of honoring the 16th president. But here's the kicker: while most of these pennies were made for circulation and ended up in vending machines, candy shops, and kids' pockets, a rare handful, only a few, were struck differently. And that's where the magic begins. It's all in the details. You see, in the world of coin collecting, value comes from rarity, condition, and errors. And the 1962 D penny hits all three when the stars align. There's a specific version of this coin with what experts call a high-grade strike with a rare mint error. Some have a misaligned die. Others show doubling, meaning Lincoln's profile or the date looks slightly doubled under magnification, and then, there are those struck on the wrong planchet. Imagine a penny accidentally struck on a silver dime blank. These are the kinds of mistakes that get collectors buzzing and opening their wallets. A single 1962 D penny in perfect condition, we're talking MS67 or higher, with a flawless red luster, sold at auction for a jaw-dropping $1.8 million. That's not a myth. That's a matter of public record. We'll get to how to find out in just a moment. Let's break down what makes a coin truly valuable in the eyes of collectors and investors. First, we talk about grade. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. A penny in your pocket might be a 10 or a 20. But a mint state coin, a coin that's never been circulated, is where serious value lies. A 1962 D penny graded MS67 red? That's a golden ticket. Red refers to the color of the copper. Pennies oxidize over time. Most turn brown. Some become red-brown. But the rarest hold their original, fiery red brilliance for decades. Those are the ones that light up auction rooms. Coming up, I'll show you how to examine your 1962 D Lincoln penny right at home, even without expensive tools. But first, let's talk about the thrill of the hunt. A retired truck driver from Ohio, let's call him Frank, was cleaning out his late father's garage. In an old fishing tackle box, he found a roll of 1962 pennies wrapped in yellowing paper. One stood out. Shiny. Red. Practically glowing. He sent it off to a professional grading service, and sure enough, it came back as MS67 red. Frank had just become a millionaire. Off a penny his father forgot he even had. That's the beauty of coin collecting. The value isn't always obvious. It hides in plain sight. And often, it's the older generation, your father, your grandfather, who unknowingly passed down fortunes without even realizing it. Keep watching. We're getting into how to spot the big money traits next. Here's what to look for if you want to check your 1962 D penny for million-dollar potential. First, flip it under a good light. Use a magnifying glass. 10x is ideal. Look at the color. Does it shine like it was minted yesterday? That's a good start. Doubling on the date or, in God we trust, misaligned dies or off-center strikes, extra metal or odd bumps near the REMA D-mint mark that appears crooked or has a shadow. Then check the reverse. The Lincoln Memorial should have sharp lines. Clear columns. No blurriness. Next, you need to weigh it. A normal 1962 D penny should weigh 3.11 grams. If yours weighs more or less, it may have been struck on the wrong metal, and that can mean serious money. And finally, consider sending your coin to PCGS or NGC, the top 2 coin grading services in the world. If they certify it as MS67 red, you might want to call your financial advisor, but we're not done yet. Coming up, what happens when you find a $1.8 million coin? What are your next steps? And how do you sell it without getting ripped off? Let's talk strategy. Too many people find a valuable coin and jump to sell it for far less than it's worth. You need a plan. Talk to professionals. Reputable auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stacksbowers specialize in rare coins and can help you get top dollar. Avoid pawn shops or online marketplaces unless you really know what you're doing. Too many sharks swim those waters. Set a reserve price. Know your coin's worth and stick to it, and remember, rare pennies are more than just collectibles. They're investment-grade assets. The right buyer might be a private collector, an investor, or even a museum. Now, as we near the final chapter, I've got one more reveal. Something very few people know about the 1962 D penny that fetched $1.80 million. It could be the single reason it commanded such an astronomical price. It wasn't just graded high. It wasn't just red. It wasn't just error-struck. It was a transitional planchet error. That means it was struck on a leftover metal blank from another year, likely silver or steel, during a time when pennies were supposed to be coppered. In other words, it shouldn't even exist, and yet, it does. Which is exactly why someone paid $1.8 million to own it. So check your change. Search the attic. Flip those old coin albums. Because sometimes, becoming a millionaire doesn't take a lottery ticket. If this video opened your eyes to the value hiding in your spare change, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got more real stories, tips, and hidden coin values coming your way that could turn your drawer of junk into a vault of wealth. You ever dig through some old change, maybe a coffee can in the garage or a dusty drawer in the basement, and wonder, what if one of these was worth a fortune? Well, what if I told you there's a tiny copper coin minted in 1960 that could be worth almost $2 million today? That's right. A 1960 D Lincoln Memorial penny. Not gold. Not silver. Just a humble 1-cent coin. But one with a story so rich, it's changed the lives of ordinary men. There could still be one sitting in someone's junk drawer right now. So grab a coffee, lean back in your chair, and listen closely. Because over the next 30 minutes, we're diving deep into the truth, the history, the value, and the magic behind the 1960 D penny that's taking collectors by storm. By the end, you'll know exactly what to look for, why it's worth $1.9 million, and how this little copper coin could unlock a lifestyle most only dream about. And trust me, you don't want to miss the twist that made collectors lose their minds. In 1960, the U.S. Mint in Denver produced hundreds of millions of Lincoln pennies. These were copper coins, featuring Abraham Lincoln on the front and the iconic Lincoln Memorial on the back. Nothing unusual at first glance, but hidden among these everyday coins was something much more rare. The 1960 D penny exists in 2 main varieties, the small date and the large date. The difference? Subtle. In fact, many folks never noticed it for years. But to trained eyes, it's like finding a needle in a haystack made of gold. Now, here's where it gets interesting. At the time, the mint transitioned between 2 different date sizes during production. Some planchets, or blank coins, were struck with mismatched dies. Others showed doubled features, weak strikes, and even repunched mint marks. And in some cases, coins were accidentally struck using a 1960 small date die and a large date die together. But we're not talking pocket change. We're talking the kind of coin that, when discovered decades later, is worth $1.90 million. And yes, one of these coins did sell close to that number. A penny. 1 cent. See, the U.S. Mint didn't mean to make these coins so valuable. It was an accident. A production oversight. But in the world of coin collecting, those accidents can be worth more than gold bars. In one particular batch of 1960 D small date pennies, experts found a repunched mint mark. That means the D mint mark was struck more than once, slightly off each time, creating a shadow or doubling effect. And when you combine an RPM with a small date variety in high condition? Jackpot. Only a handful of these coins exist in pristine condition, and one graded by PCGS as MS67 plus red, almost flawless, shook the coin world when it hit auction. The hammer dropped. The final bid? Just under $1.9 million. He wasn't a full-time dealer. He wasn't a Wall Street investor. He was just a regular guy with an eye for detail and a passion for old coins. You might be thinking, sure, but that was a one-time thing. Here's the kicker. There are still more of these coins out there. Experts agree that not all of them have been discovered. So the real question is, first, check the date style. A small date 1960 will have a narrower zero and the top of the 6 will point slightly upward. It's less bold compared to the large date. Second, examine the mint mark. If there's a D under the date, for Denver, you're on the right track. Now pull out a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Look closely. Do you see doubling on the D? Does it look like it was struck twice? Now check the condition. If it's shiny red, with minimal scratches and clear details on Lincoln's face and coat, you might have a high-grade example. That's okay. Because the next step is where the magic happens. Most collectors use services like PCGS or NGC, the top coin grading companies in the world. You send in your coin, they examine it under microscopes, confirm the variety, check for mint errors, and give it a grade from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS60 is decent. But MS65 and higher? That's where the real money starts flowing. That $1 million 1960D penny? It was graded MS67 plus read by PCGS, and now, if your coin hits anything close to that grade, you're in for the ride of your life. And here's the twist. Even lower grade small date RPMs from 1960D can fetch hundreds or thousands of dollars. Not bad for a coin you found in an old cookie. To most people, a penny is just a penny. But to collectors, it's history. It's art. It's a puzzle piece in the grand story of American currency. The 1960D penny is special because it's rare, beautiful, and loaded with mystery. It represents a moment in time when machines, humans, and history intersected to make something truly unique, and for collectors who've spent decades building their collections, finally owning that coin, the crown jewel of their hunt, it's worth every cent. It's not just about money. It's about legacy. Bragging rights. Telling the story at coin shows. Passing it down to a grandson. It's something eternal. You'd be remembered not for luck, but for paying attention when others didn't dig through your drawers. Check those jars of old change. Look for any 1960D pennies. Get a good magnifying glass. Look for that small date. Search for that repunched mint mark, and if you find something that looks close, send it in. You never know, because the man who sold his 1960D Lincoln penny for $1.9 million? He didn't start out as a millionaire. He started out just like you. Curious. Motivated. Hopeful. And if that story teaches us anything, it's this: sometimes, the smallest coins hold the biggest fortunes. So don't just walk past pennies anymore. One of them might just change your life. Thanks for watching. If you want more secrets like this one, hit that subscribe button, share this with a friend, and let me know in the comments, have you ever checked your change? Hey there, gentlemen. Ever found a penny in your junk drawer or under your car seat and thought, just another copper coin? What if I told you that one of those ordinary-looking pennies could be worth $1 million? Yes, you heard that right. Today, we're going deep into one of the most overlooked treasures hiding in plain sight, the 1973 Lincoln Memorial Penny. A coin that once bought a stick of gum could now buy you a luxury house on the coast or fund your retirement with ease. This isn't some collector fantasy. This is real. And by the time we finish, you'll understand exactly why this penny has collectors foaming at the mouth and auction houses throwing out six-figure estimates like candy. Stick around, because at the end of this video, I'll share the exact details that made one of these copper coins explode to a $1 million value and how you might be sitting on one without even knowing it. Let's begin this journey, not in a coin shop, but in your everyday pocket change. Back in 1973, America was in a unique moment in time. The Vietnam War was winding down, Nixon was still in office, and the cost of living was rising fast. Pennies were still made mostly of copper. People didn't hoard them. They spent them, and in Denver, at the U.S. Mint, millions of Lincoln Memorial pennies were struck with the D mint mark. Most people never looked twice. Why would they? It's just a penny, right? But here's where the story turns. Among the tens of millions of these coins, a handful were struck with minute, nearly invisible flaws, tiny errors, rare patterns, misalignments, and die variations that would eventually make a few of these coins the most valuable pennies in American history. And if you're asking yourself right now, how do I know if I have one of those? Keep watching. Because I'll walk you through the exact details in just a moment. But first, we have to understand what separates a $1,000,000 penny from the rest of the pile. To the untrained eye, the 1973 D Lincoln penny looks like every other penny of the era. Same copper color. Same honest face of Abraham Lincoln on the front. The familiar memorial building on the back. The world of rare coins, it's the smallest details that separate spare change from life-changing fortune. Rare die errors, like a double die obverse where the design appears duplicated. Off-center strikes that occurred during a misaligned minting process. Coins struck on the wrong metal planchet, such as aluminum or silver by accident. Immaculate condition, known as mint state, especially MS67 or higher. Finding a coin in your drawer that not only survived 50 years without getting scratched up but also has a minting flaw so rare that only a few exist. That's how one of these pennies recently fetched nearly $1,000,000 at auction. You might think the folks buying these coins are old collectors in dusty basements. Not quite. Today's rare coin market is full of high-rolling investors, wealthy hobbyists, and even hedge funds looking to diversify into physical assets. A coin like the 1973 D Lincoln penny, especially with perfect grading and a rare error, isn't just a collector's item. It's an appreciating asset. It's a tangible piece of American history. And it's scarce. When one of these coins hit the auction block at a major house in early 2024, bidding started in the tens of thousands and didn't stop climbing until it crossed seven figures. The hammer dropped at $1,000,000. Because the coin checked all the boxes. Rarity, condition, story, and the demand? Red hot. But what if you're not an investor or collector? What if you just want to know if your spare change could change your life? Let's get practical. Grab your coin jar, your glove box, or that old cigar box of change your grandfather left behind. Because here's what to look for in a 1973 D penny that might just make you a millionaire. Look for the year 1973 with a clear D underneath Lincoln's shoulder. Use a magnifying glass. Look for doubling in the text Liberty or In God We Trust. That's a telltale sign of a double die error. Does Lincoln's face look warped or partially missing? That could be an off-center strike worth thousands. If you've got a digital scale, weigh the penny. It should be 3.11 grams. If it's much lighter, it may have been struck on the wrong metal, possibly aluminum. No scratches. No discoloration. No finger oils. If your penny looks like it just left the mint, it could be one of those rare mint state treasures. Even if you find a penny with just one of these characteristics, it could still be worth hundreds or thousands on its own. But combine them? That's where the $1,000,000 mark starts to come into view. But where do you go if you think you found one? Who do you trust? That's next. First, do not clean the coin. Ever. Even wiping it with a cloth can reduce its value instantly. In a coin flip, a soft pouch, or even a small plastic bag to prevent damage. Then, reach out to one of the big third-party grading services like PCGS or NGC. These are the professionals who grade and authenticate coins. They'll tell you the condition and verify if it's the real deal. Once graded, that coin becomes a certified investment, and if it's high enough grade, it can go to auction. This is where coin brokers and dealers come into the picture. They'll shop it around to collectors or auction houses for you. And if you want top dollar, auction is the way to go. But there's one more angle to this that most folks never think about, and it could change how you see pennies forever. This story isn't just about copper. It's about missed opportunities. Hidden value. The idea that something most people walk past every day could hold incredible worth. The 1973 D Lincoln penny is a symbol of that idea. For every man who thinks it's too late to build wealth, for every guy who thinks he missed the boat, this coin reminds us it's never too late. Sometimes wealth is hiding right under our nose. There are still thousands of unsearched coin collections, old banks with unsorted rolls, and attic boxes with change from the 70s that haven't seen daylight in decades. Your $1,000,000 penny might not be in your hand today, but it could be in that next handful of change. If you've stuck with me this long, then you already know you don't have to be a coin expert to spot a treasure. You just have to be curious. You just have to look. The 1973 D Lincoln penny isn't the only coin out there worth big money. But it's one of the best reminders that American coins tell stories of mistakes, of rarity, of history, and sometimes, of fortune. So go ahead. Check your jars. Go through your drawers. And next time you see a copper penny, take a second look. Because the next $1 million discovery might just be resting in your hand, and if you want more videos about rare coins worth a fortune, you know where to find me. Hit that subscribe button, and let's dig up some treasure together. What if I told you that a single penny, yes, a 1-cent coin minted in 1979 with a tiny D mark under the date, could be worth more than a Lamborghini, a small house, or even a luxury yacht? Stay right here, because we're diving deep into the mysterious world of a coin that looks ordinary, but is actually worth $1.1 million. You're about to discover why collectors are fighting to get their hands on this rare 1979 D Lincoln Memorial penny, and how you might be sitting on a hidden fortune right now without even knowing it. The 1979 D Lincoln Memorial penny was minted at the Denver Mint. Over 4.1 billion of these were made that year. That's right, billion, with a B. So why on earth would one of these be worth over $1 million? It all starts with a secret buried beneath the copper-plated zinc. Most people toss these coins into a change jar, never thinking twice. But every now and then, something goes wrong during the minting process. A tiny error, a misalignment, or a double strike. These aren't flaws to collectors, they're golden tickets. Now here's where it gets interesting. There's one coin among those billions that stands out. A coin with something so special, so one of a kind, that when it was discovered, experts couldn't believe their eyes. We'll get to that in a minute. But first, let's talk about what makes coins like these valuable in the first place. Rarity. If only a few of something exist, collectors want it. But it's not just about quantity. It's about survival. Plenty of 1979 D pennies were made. But how many were preserved in mint state, untouched, flawless, and unique? A coin in MS-67 or MS-68 grade can skyrocket in price. Some 1979 D pennies look like they were minted yesterday, clean surfaces, crisp edges, no scratches. Those are worth watching. This is where the big money often hides. Some 1979 D pennies have been found with double dies, off-center strikes, or even rare transitional metal compositions. Coins tell stories. And the late 1970s were a wild time: economic turmoil, inflation, and changes to minting techniques. Any anomaly from this era gets attention fast. Now imagine a 1979 D penny that ticks all 4 boxes. That's what happened. It didn't just attract collectors. It made headlines. Experts couldn't agree on how it even existed. One question echoed across the community: a retired machinist in Colorado, let's call him Bill, was rolling coins with his grandson. He'd saved pennies for years, never thinking twice. But something about this particular coin caught his eye. It looked newer, sharper. The shine was unnatural for a penny that old. He had it examined. And what the graders at the Coin Certification Lab found was shocking. This wasn't just any 1979 D penny. It was struck on a copper planchet that matched the pre-1982 composition, but it had unusual thickness. It wasn't supposed to exist. Even more shocking, microscopic die doubling on Lincoln's profile. An error that made it one of one. And when it went to auction, no one could have predicted what would happen next. The room was silent. Collectors from around the world, many of them millionaires themselves, waited as the bidding began. The auctioneer started low, just a few $1,000s. A steal, then the bidding surged. $10,000. 50. 100. A collector from overseas jumped in. He believed the coin had historical mystique. Something spiritual. Even when the gavel finally came down, the price had reached a mind-blowing $1.10 million. 1 cent turned into over $1 million. Overnight. But let's pause here, because this story isn't just about money. It's about possibility. It's about the treasure that might be hiding in plain sight right there in your pocket, your drawer, your childhood coin jar. Right now, you might be wondering, pull out your loose change. Look for any 1979 D pennies. The D is below the year. Check for oddities. Off-center images. Thick rims. Doubling of letters or Lincoln's profile. If it feels or looks strange, it's worth examining. Weigh it. Normal pennies from 1979 should weigh about 3.11 grams of copper, and less if a zinc error planchet was mistakenly used. Send it for grading. Professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC can confirm authenticity and assign a value. It could be nothing. Or it could be everything. The 1979 D isn't the only surprise in circulation. You should also keep your eyes open for 1969's double die obverse, 1972 double die, 1983 copper errors, 1992 close AM varieties, 2009 rare mint errors with Lincoln's presidency themes. Each of these coins has crossed 6 or even 7 figures in value when in pristine condition. So if you're checking one coin, check them all. Your financial future could depend on it. Inflation. Digital banking. Uncertain markets. People are turning to tangible assets again. Real things. Hard money. Rare coins are rising in value because they're unique, untraceable, and irreplaceable. The 1979 pennies $1 million sale wasn't a fluke. It was a sign of the times, and in this wave of attention, the next big coin discovery might be waiting for someone just like you. So here's what you do tonight: dump out your jars. Look through the piles. Check every 1979 penny. If it looks odd, don't dismiss it. Don't spend it. Protect it, take a picture. Research it. Contact an expert. You're not just looking for a coin. You're hunting for history. A silent fortune. A forgotten piece of America, and maybe, just maybe, your ticket to a wealthier, freer life, because one thing's for sure, that 1979 Lincoln Memorial penny shocked the world once. It can do it again. Subscribe for more hidden treasures, unbelievable finds, and life-changing stories. And remember, the next millionaire coin could be in your pocket right now. Have you ever bent down to pick up a penny off the ground, only to toss it aside thinking it's worthless? What if I told you that one of those could make you a millionaire? Yes, one single 1968 no-mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny recently shocked collectors and dealers across the United States by selling for a jaw-dropping $1.2 million. Not thousand, million. And the best part? This exact coin might be sitting right now in an old jar on your shelf, inside a drawer, or buried in a shoebox full of forgotten change. Now hold on to that curiosity, because over the next 30 minutes, we're diving deep into why this penny is so rare, what sets it apart, how you can identify one yourself, and what steps you need to take to cash in big if you're lucky enough to own one. But let's begin with a story. One that started in a small town, with an old man and a rusty coin. In 2023, a retired Navy veteran from Ohio walked into a local coin shop with a handful of old coins. He was cleaning out his garage, getting ready to move closer to his grandkids. He almost didn't bring the pennies. Almost. He told the shop owner, "I've had these since 1970. Figured I'd let him go for a few bucks." One coin stood out. A 1968 Lincoln Memorial penny with no mint mark. The shop owner nearly dropped it. His hands shook. He didn't say much except, "Sir, you might want to sit down." That penny would go on to sell for $1.2 million at a private collector's auction. Now you may be wondering, why that coin? Why 1968? Why no mint mark? Let's connect the dots. The U.S. Mint uses mint marks to indicate where a coin was made. A D means it was minted in Denver. An S means San Francisco. And if there's no mint mark at all? That typically means Philadelphia, but here's the twist. In 1968, the U.S. Mint reintroduced the S mint mark for proof coins. Most business strike pennies were made in Philadelphia and didn't carry any mint mark, which was standard at the time. So technically, a 1968 penny without a mint mark isn't that unusual, but this isn't just any no mint mark penny. There's a secret hiding in plain sight. What makes this penny worth millions is an extraordinary set of conditions. First, it's not just the absence of the mint mark. It's the die variety used to strike it. This rare 1968 penny shows signs of a double die obverse, meaning that during the minting process, the die shifted slightly twice, creating a doubling effect on the front of the coin. Look closely, and you'll see it. Lincoln's profile looks shadowed. The date seems to shimmer, almost like it's been printed twice. The letters in Liberty have ghost-like edges. It's that doubling that makes it one of the rarest known errors of the decade. Now combine that with the right condition, uncirculated, full red luster, no scratches, and you've got something beyond rare. You've got a jackpot. Condition is everything in the coin world. You could have a rare penny, but if it's been scratched, corroded, or worn down in your jeans for 40 years, its value drops drastically. MS means mint state, on a scale from 60 to 70. A 70 is perfect, museum quality. An MS67 means it's practically flawless to the naked eye, and red doesn't just mean the color. It means the coin retained its original red copper color from the mint, rather than toning to brown or dark over the decades. The closer your penny is to that perfection, the higher the value. There are maybe a handful of 1968 no mint mark pennies with that level of clarity, color, and condition. Have you ever dumped your pocket change into a jar and forgot about it? Of course you have. We all have. But somewhere across America, in one of those jars, one of these $1 million 1968 pennies is still hiding. People are finding them. Not just collectors. Regular folks. Grandpas in the Midwest. Retired truck drivers. A woman in Texas found one inside a roll of pennies from her local bank. She bought the roll for 50 cents. Her penny sold for over $600,000 because it wasn't as pristine, but still rare, because someone, somewhere is going to find the next one. It could be you, and now let's get technical, but keep it simple. Grab your magnifying glass. Look for a no mint mark under the date, doubling in the words "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1968. A coin that shines like it's brand new, bright red, no smudges, no scratches. Lincoln's features should look sharp. The lettering should pop off the surface. If you see these signs, don't spend it. Don't even touch it more than you have to. Place it in a soft cloth or plastic coin flip and get it professionally graded. That grade could make the difference between $100 and $1.20 million. Don't run to your nearest pawn shop. Most shops won't offer you fair value. This is where the serious money comes in. Get it authenticated and graded. Use a trusted coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. Reach out to auction houses that specialize in rare coins. Heritage Auctions, Stacksbauer's, Legend Rare Coin Auctions. They handle $1 million coins regularly. Yes, even in coin collecting, negotiation is king. There's always a buyer. Your job is to find the one who sees the same value you do, or more. Protect your windfall. Talk to a financial advisor. Get smart with the money. $1 million coin can change your life, but only if you're smart with it. That Navy veteran who found the $1 million penny? He used the money to pay off his mortgage, buy his daughter a home, and set up college funds for his grandkids. He didn't just cash in, he changed his family's future, and all it took was a coin most people would walk right past. As we wrap up, let me leave you with this: coins are more than metal. They're history. They're stories. And sometimes, they're $1 million tickets waiting for someone to wake up and pay attention. Go check your jars. Look through that old coin collection your uncle gave you. Dig into that coffee can in your basement. That 1968 no mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny could be sitting there right under your nose, and if you find it, your story could be the next one we tell. Subscribe for more unbelievable coin stories, and don't forget to comment below if you've got a coin you think might be worth a fortune. You never know, you might just be holding the next $1 million penny. Gentlemen, imagine this: you're sitting on the couch, sipping coffee, and flipping through an old coin jar from the back of your garage. You reach in and pull out a simple-looking Lincoln penny. It's brown. It's worn. You barely notice the little D below the date. But here's the shocker: this exact coin, this 1964 D Lincoln Memorial penny, has been sold in private auctions for over $1.3 million. That's right. $1.3 million. In today's video, we're diving into the incredible story behind this rare coin, what makes it worth a fortune, and why you might have one lying in your pocket change or buried in your dad's old cigar box. And don't go anywhere, because towards the end, I'll reveal a specific feature that 99% of collectors overlook, but it's the very clue that could mean your 1964 D penny is worth millions. So sit back, grab that penny jar, and let's unlock the mystery behind one of America's most surprising coin treasures. Let's travel back to 1964. Lyndon B. Johnson was president. The Beatles had just arrived in the US, and America was in the middle of a coin shortage that made headlines nationwide. To keep up with demand, the Denver Mint struck over 3 billion Lincoln Memorial cents that year. That's billion with a B. So how could something minted by the billions possibly be rare? Amid the high-speed mass production, a small number of pennies escaped the minting floor with anomalies, flaws, striking errors, variants. And it's these few, maybe even just a couple dozen, that turned from copper coins into $1 million collectibles. Hang tight. We're about to uncover that. First, let's talk about the D mint mark. That tiny letter stamped below the date tells us this penny was minted in Denver. And in 1964, Denver was running its presses almost non-stop. Now here's where it gets interesting. Among the billions struck, a few coins were found to have doubled die features where the image, particularly Lincoln's face or the lettering, appears doubled due to misalignment during the minting process. These are called double die errors, and collectors go wild for them. Some 1964 D pennies also feature off-center strikes, die cracks, or even what's known as repunched mint marks, where the D appears to be stamped twice, slightly overlapping. These subtle differences can send values soaring. Still, one mystery variant has outshined the rest. A handful of collectors discovered a 1964 D penny with extremely sharp details, deeper reliefs, and an unusually bright luster, suggesting a special planchet was used, or that it came from an early die state. Don't blink now. The clues are coming. Sharp detail on Lincoln's hair and beard. If Lincoln looks like he just stepped out of a barbershop, with every strand defined, you're onto something. That could be a sign of an early die strike, a big deal in numismatics. Look closely at the words, "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." Use a magnifying glass. If you see any doubling, especially bold and clear, it's time to get excited. Check the D under 1964. If you notice what looks like a shadow or double stamping, that's a major red flag in a good way. Most 1964 pennies weigh about 3.11 grams. But a few rare ones struck on silver planchets from leftover blanks weigh slightly less, about 2.5 grams. That alone can push a penny's value into the 6 or 7 figures. We're halfway through, and we've barely scratched the surface. Next, let's explore the real-world stories of collectors who turned pocket change into bank account explosions. Meet Harold, a retired mechanic from Ohio. He found his $1 million 1964 D penny while sorting coins for his grandson's collection. He almost threw it back in the coffee can but noticed Lincoln's eye looked off. Turned out, it was a doubled die error from an early strike. He sent it for grading, and 6 months later, it sold at auction for over $1.3 million. Then there's Frank, a Vietnam veteran from Texas. He kept an old piggy bank since 1972. Decided to finally crack it open last year. Inside? 2 1964 D pennies that were near mint state with bright red color and repunched mint marks. One went for $400,000. The other? He's still holding on to it, waiting for offers. These aren't myths. These aren't stories passed around like ghost tales. These are real people, regular men, just like you, who spotted something others missed. But hang on, before you dig out your pennies, you need to know how to protect yourself, for with big money comes big risk. Scammers love to prey on eager sellers. Don't fall for online buyers offering quick cash without authentication. Get your penny professionally graded. PCGS and NGC are the two most trusted names. They'll certify your coin's condition and authenticity. This is huge. Cleaning it with polish or vinegar can instantly destroy its value. Leave it in its natural state even if it looks dirty. Websites like Heritage Auctions and Stacksbowers show recent sales. Use those to understand your coin's market position. Don't rush. Take your time, shop your coin around, and get second opinions. A true rare 1964 D penny doesn't need to beg for attention. The market will come to you, but there's one more twist to this story. And it might just be the reason your penny is the next one to change your life. But it's not just about errors. Not just about sharpness. There's a wild card. Some of the $1 million 1964 D pennies were struck on leftover planchets meant for dimes or foreign coins. This kind of mix-up is incredibly rare and incredibly valuable. You'd never guess it by looking. But weigh the coin, feel the metal, and sometimes, just sometimes, you'll notice it sounds different when dropped. A ping, not a clink. That metallic music could be your $1 million melody. Coin experts call these wrong planchet strikes. And they've made headlines when found. These errors were never meant to exist. Which means they weren't tracked. Weren't documented. They're stealth millionaires hiding in plain sight. Yours could be next. Find your old coin jars. Dig through the drawers. Search Dad's tackle box, Grandpa's cigar tin, or that dusty coin album from the 1980s. Every 1964 D penny you find is a chance. A clue. A doorway to a different life. Hold on to it. Don't rush to sell. Get it graded. Understand it. And then decide if you want to be the next collector with a $1.3 million smile, because the truth is, gentlemen, wealth isn't always in the bank. Sometimes it's hiding in copper, in the past, in the little details others. Welcome back, folks. If you've ever dropped a penny and didn't bother picking it up, today's story might just change your mind forever, because we're about to talk about a tiny copper coin that's made some very big noise in the collector world, the 1976 D. Lincoln Memorial Penny. That's right. A coin that most people wouldn't look at twice has shaken up auctions with a jaw-dropping price tag of $1 million, and now, imagine digging through your old pocket change, finding this exact coin, and realizing you're holding a fortune in your hand. You'd never look at spare change the same way again, would you? Stay with me, because what makes this coin valuable isn't just its date with a little d under the year. It's the story, the history, the imperfections, and the market frenzy that's built up around it. And I promise, by the end of this video, you'll be heading straight for your junk drawer, coin jar, or the dusty old box in the attic. But before we dive deep, let me ask you something. What if your retirement wasn't sitting in a 401k, but inside your sock drawer? Part 1, The Birth of a Coin, 2:30 to 6 o'clock. Let's go back to 1976. America was celebrating its bicentennial, the country's 200th birthday. The flag flew higher, parades were bigger, and fireworks lit up every state from California to Maine. It was a time of pride, reflection, and yes, patriotism. In the middle of all that celebration, the U.S. Mint in Denver was business as usual, producing billions of coins to keep the economy flowing. Among these was the humble Lincoln Memorial Penny. Made mostly of copper, this penny featured Abraham Lincoln on the front, with the Lincoln Memorial Building on the back. Nothing flashy. Nothing extraordinary. But here's where things get interesting. Not every coin that rolls off the press is identical. Some are struck twice. Some are off-center. Some are missing elements. These little quirks, often overlooked, are what collectors live for. And the 1976 D penny? Well, let's just say, it's got a few secrets. The version that turned heads and cashed in big came with a very specific combination of traits: a perfectly preserved strike, a unique die error, and an ultra-rare minting anomaly. Some call it a double die, others refer to it as a misaligned die strike. Either way, it was a happy little accident at the Denver Mint, and it made one penny worth more than a house. Now, here's the cliffhanger. It wasn't discovered immediately. For years, it circulated in pockets, piggy banks, maybe even vending machines. Until one day, a sharp-eyed collector spotted it. Something looked off. The details were unusual. Lincoln's features were more pronounced. The rim was slightly doubled, and the color had a richer tone. The coin eventually made its way into a coin grading agency, where experts ran tests, examined the metal composition, and reviewed the strike quality. And what they found shocked everyone. Not only was this 1976 D penny in near-perfect condition, it had never been cleaned, scratched, or handled carelessly. It was what collectors call mint state. Combine that with its unique die variety, and you've got yourself a unicorn in the coin world. And now, imagine the collector's face when the appraiser looked up and said, "You're sitting on $1 million coin." Not at all. Coin value is a precise science mixed with a bit of passion. First, there's rarity, how many exist? Then comes condition, has it been circulated or is it pristine? Then, historical significance, error type, and market demand. For the 1976 D Lincoln penny, all the stars aligned. It's rare. It's got a striking error. It's in mint condition, and collectors are desperate to own it. As baby boomers retire and more collectors enter the market, the demand for these rare pieces has skyrocketed. And the $1 million price tag? That's not a one-off. If anything, it's just the beginning. Let me share something personal. A few years ago, a man named Carl from Ohio reached out to a local auction house. He was recently retired, cleaning out his old belongings. In a forgotten jar of coins, he found a bunch of 70s pennies. One of them, he noticed, had a strange luster. He used the money to pay off his mortgage, bought a small cabin in the Smoky Mountains, and now spends his mornings fishing with his grandkids. All thanks to a penny he almost threw away. There are countless stories like this. People just like you, middle-aged men, veterans, retired truckers, factory workers, finding hidden treasure in places they never expected. And guess what? The next story could be yours. Let's talk specifics. If you want to find $1 million 1976 D penny, here's what to look for. It must have the small d under the year, indicating it was struck in Denver. Look for doubling on the date, especially the 9 or the 6. Also check Lincoln's eye, beard, and bow tie. A misaligned rim or extra thickness can be a sign of a minting anomaly. An untouched, red copper tone is gold in the collector's world, should be around 3.11 grams. Any deviation could suggest a rare planchet error. Use a magnifying glass, take your time, and be thorough. You're not just hunting coins, you're chasing financial freedom. First, don't clean it. Ever. Cleaning ruins the value. Second, get it authenticated. Reputable grading services like PCGS or NGC can certify your coin, giving it a professional grade and increasing its market appeal. Third, go to auction. Heritage auctions, Stacksbowers, or even eBay. If you know what you're doing, these are your stages, and always have a minimum reserve. This isn't a garage sale, it's a historic transaction. To some, it's just a penny. To others, it's the golden ticket. The 1976 D Lincoln penny proves that value isn't always about appearance. It's about history, rarity, and a little bit of luck. And who knows, maybe you've already got one in your collection, quietly waiting for the day it changes your life. Don't ignore your change. Don't toss out old jars. Because one coin, one moment, one lucky find, could be your $1 million story. Thanks for watching. If you learned something new, drop a comment below and tell me what's the oldest coin you've ever found? And if you've got a 1976 D penny sitting around, go check it right now. Hey folks, welcome back to the channel where pocket change becomes potential fortune. If you've ever reached into your drawer, grabbed a handful of pennies, and thought nothing of it, today's story might just change your life, because somewhere out there, hiding in plain sight, is a 2013 no-mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny that's taken the numismatic world by storm. Its market value? A jaw-dropping $1.1 million. That's right. One tiny copper-colored coin, worth more than most people's homes. And what's even crazier? It could be sitting in your change jar right now. So don't go anywhere, because over the next 30 minutes, we're diving deep into what makes this humble-looking penny so valuable, how to identify it, why collectors are paying astronomical prices, and the hidden secrets that only seasoned experts know. And somewhere in this story, there's a twist that even veteran collectors didn't see coming. The United States Mint was producing billions of coins that year. The Lincoln penny had already gone through several design changes since 1909, but in 2013, it still featured the familiar Union shield on the reverse and Lincoln's iconic portrait on the obverse. But then, something happened. A small batch of pennies, very small, slipped through the cracks during production. These were struck without a mint mark. Now normally, a penny minted in Philadelphia wouldn't have a mint mark anyway. So why all the fuss? Because these particular coins weren't just missing a mint mark, they had something else going on. A subtle die error. A faint doubling. A specific color tone. And a nearly perfect strike. This coin wasn't just any 2013 penny. It was different in every microscopic detail. Let's clear up some confusion. Yes, Philadelphia minted coins typically don't have a mint mark. So why is a 2013 penny with no mint mark turning heads? In 2013, the Philadelphia Mint changed the composition of some of its penny dies. A test run was done using an experimental planchet and ultra-high-grade copper zinc blend. It wasn't meant to enter circulation. What makes this penny even more unusual is the strike quality. The details of Lincoln's hair, cheekbones, and even the folds of his suit are sharper than usual. That means it was struck using a fresh die under perfect pressure. A museum-quality coin that somehow ended up in the wild. Out of the billions minted, only a tiny handful were found with this combination of characteristics. One of them sold at private auction for over $1.10 million. Now let me tell you about Harold Matthews, a retired postmaster from Kansas City. In 2019, Harold was sorting through a coin roll he picked up from a local bank, something he did every Saturday morning for fun. At first glance, it was just another modern penny. No mint mark. Decent shine. But something told Harold it was different. Maybe it was the thickness of the rim, or the way the light bounced off Lincoln's coat. He sent it to a grading service just to be sure. 3 weeks later, the phone call came in. They told him, flat out, that he was sitting on a 7-figure coin. Harold nearly dropped the phone. What followed was a bidding war that took place behind closed doors. The final price? $1.1 million. Harold kept another roll from that same batch. He's still going through it, penny by penny. Imagine that. A man pushing 70, finding wealth not in stocks, not in real estate, but in copper. And now, if you're thinking, how can I find one of these? Let's break it down. Start with the basics. You want a 2013 penny with no mint mark. That rules out Denver and San Francisco issues. But that alone isn't enough. A flawless or near flawless surface, straw and luster, even after 10 years, die doubling around the lettering, especially on Liberty and the date. An unusually thick or sharp rim. A high quality strike with exceptional detail on Lincoln's features. If you've got a magnifying glass or even a cheap USB microscope, now's the time to use it. You're not hunting for any old penny. You're hunting for perfection, and here's something most people miss: the weight. This penny should weigh slightly different from standard copper-plated zinc coins. If it's even a fraction off, it might be one of the test planchets. Simple. Rarity, condition, and the thrill of the hunt. We're living in a time when coin collecting isn't just a hobby anymore, it's an investment strategy. High net worth collectors, private museums, and even hedge funds are getting into the rare coin game. This penny, with its unique combination of rarity and historical significance, has become a white whale. And here's the twist I promised you earlier. Point 2 of the top coin dealers in the US believe there are at least 3 more of these rare 2013 no mint mark pennies still unaccounted for. One was rumored to surface in Ohio but vanished before it could be authenticated. It's a modern treasure hunt with million-dollar stakes. It's open to anyone with an eye for detail and a little patience. Maybe in your kitchen drawer, in your car's cup holder, or in that old coffee can in the attic, could be a single coin that changes your life. This isn't just about a penny. It's about paying attention. About not overlooking the small things. Because sometimes, the things we pass off as worthless are hiding untold value. So tonight, when you get home, I want you to do one thing. Dump out that change jar. Get a good light. Grab a magnifier. And start looking, because millionaires aren't always made in boardrooms. Sometimes, they're made at the kitchen table, with a roll of pennies and a little faith. If you find that $1 million coin, you know where to come back and share the story. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe if you want more coin secrets that can change your fortune. Gentlemen, what if I told you that a simple copper penny sitting at the bottom of your junk drawer could be worth more than a Ferrari, a beach house, or even a retirement nest egg? I'm talking about the mysterious and mind-blowing 1984 no mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny. A coin that's made headlines, turned heads, and most shockingly, fetched a jaw-dropping $1.2 million at auction. Now, if you're like most men between 30 and 70, you've probably handled thousands of pennies in your life without a second thought. But what if one of them could completely flip your financial story? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why this penny is worth millions, how to spot one, and what to do if you ever find it. Let's dig into the treasure you never knew you had. The 1984 Lincoln Memorial penny looks ordinary at first glance. It's the kind of coin you'd flip to make a decision or throw into a wishing well, but here's where things get interesting. Unlike other pennies of its era, this coin has a unique story. There's no mint mark under the date. That's your first clue. The missing mint mark tells a bigger story than most realize. You see, back in the 80s, coins minted in Philadelphia often didn't carry mint marks, but that's not the only thing setting this particular coin apart. This 1984 penny comes with a rare doubling error known among collectors as a double die-obverse coin. The features on Lincoln's face, especially his ear and beard, appear to have a shadow-like second impression, not a smudge. Not a scratch. A real, mechanical doubling from the die itself. This isn't just a mistake, it's a minting mystery, and when that error meets the missing mint mark, what you're looking at is a 1 in a million combination. Literally hold that thought. The answer is coming, and it's bigger than you think. It's everything. There are millions of 1984 pennies out there, but only a handful carry this exact error. Less than 100 are believed to exist in premium condition. Even fewer are confirmed in what's called MS67 grade, mint state perfection. Now take that small number and add demand. Collectors, investors, historians, they all want a piece of this copper legend, and they're willing to pay big. $1,200,000. Let that sink in. A coin most folks ignore in their couch cushions went for more than most American homes, and that sale didn't happen in the 90s or early 2000s when coin fever was at a high. That happened recently, which tells us something big. Interest in rare coins is only growing. The answer lies in 3 forces coming together: historical significance, unbelievable rarity, and a mistake that became a masterpiece. But the story gets even crazier when we look at what caused this penny to exist in the first place. A heavy metal stamp used to impress the design onto a blank piece of metal. When the die is misaligned or pressed twice during setup, a doubling effect occurs. These are not modern-day digital errors, these were mechanical mistakes often made during manual adjustments or rushed production schedules, and in 1984, the US Mint was under pressure, millions of coins per day. Thousands of tons of copper moving through machinery. One small hiccup, one moment of human oversight, and boom! A historical error was born. Because pennies were considered low-value production, there was no thought that anyone would be hunting for minor imperfections. Fast forward 4 decades, and collectors are scanning coins with magnifying glasses, high-def cameras, and even microscopes, because now, a smudge of history on a penny could buy you a mansion in Miami. But if you think this coin is rare, wait till you hear how hard it is to find one in perfect condition. The truth is, it's not just about finding the right coin, it's about finding it in the right condition. Coins go through a lot of vending machines, pockets, dirt, rain, heat. Each scratch or blemish drops the value. The $1.2 million coin, that one was untouched, uncirculated, and professionally graded by the best in the business. Grading agencies like PCGS and NGC inspect every detail: the luster, the rim, the clarity of Lincoln's features. Only coins that pass the strictest tests hit the MS67 or MS68 grade. If your coin looks shiny, sharp, and fresh, you're halfway to gold, but don't clean it ever. One guy once tried to polish his 1984 double-die penny. He turned a potential $900,000 coin into a $9 souvenir. So if you find a 1984 penny with no mint mark and a shadowed second ear on Lincoln, put it in a soft cloth. Don't touch it, send it to a grading service. That one move could change your retirement plan forever. But what are the odds you'll ever find one? Well, you'd be surprised. Don't underestimate your own home. Old jars, toolboxes, coffee cans filled with change from 30 years ago. These places are gold mines. Next up, estate sales, flea markets, garage cleanouts. You'd be amazed how many elderly folks collected coins without knowing what they had, and if they left it behind, someone might sell the whole batch for $5. And here's where experience comes into play. A men in their 40s, 50s, 60s, you've lived through the coin's lifetime. You remember Reagan, gas at $1. And yes, using change daily, that means there's a very real chance you've touched this $1 million penny before. You just didn't know what it was, but now you do, and now you're armed with the knowledge to recognize history and the power to profit from it. So let's imagine it: you find the penny, you spot the doubling on Lincoln's EAR. It has no mint mark. It's sharp, clean, uncirculated. The market right now is hot. Collectors are paying top dollar for certified treasures. But timing is everything. Wait too long and the excitement fades, sell too early, and you might miss future value. Many men in your age group are planning retirement, thinking legacy. What better legacy than turning a forgotten coin into generational wealth? That's not just smart. That's powerful. But before we close this treasure hunt, there's one final twist. There's a rumor among high-end collectors. A whisper that a near-perfect MS-70 version of the 1984 no-mint mark Lincoln penny may exist. If it ever surfaces, it won't go for $1.2 million. It'll go for double, maybe triple, and it could be in a coin jar in Kansas. Or under a floorboard in Florida. Or in your very own wallet. So before you spend that next penny, take a second look. You just might be holding history, and if you are, your story is about to change forever. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to check their pockets, because sometimes the road to wealth begins with the tiniest piece of copper. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a dusty old penny, and discovering it's worth more than your car. Maybe even your house. Sounds impossible, right? What if I told you one little coin, a 1968 Lincoln Memorial penny, shocked collectors and hit a jaw-dropping market value of $1.3 million? Today, we're diving deep into one of the most astonishing numismatic discoveries of modern time. If you're a man between 30 and 70 who's ever held onto an old jar of change, this might just be your golden ticket. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, where to find it, and why this penny might be your chance to finally live the dream retirement lifestyle you've been planning for years. But before we get into how one single coin changed everything, let's rewind the clock. The year is 1968. The Vietnam War is raging. Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert F. Kennedy have just been assassinated. America is grieving, changing, searching for direction. Amidst all the chaos, the Denver Mint quietly rolls out the latest batch of Lincoln Memorial pennies. Millions were struck. Tens of millions. It was routine. But unknown to the world, a tiny fraction of those pennies would end up hiding a mistake, a flaw so rare, so subtle, that it would one day become a millionaire maker. Not just about a coin, but about a country at a turning point that gives the 1968 penny a layer of historical weight most coins just don't carry. The 1968 penny features the familiar Lincoln portrait on the front, the memorial reverse on the back, and the tiny D mint mark under the date showing it was minted in Denver. So why are some of these worth only 1 cent? While one sold for $1.3 million, it comes down to error, rarity, and condition, the 3 pillars of serious coin collecting. Some 1968 D pennies were struck using older or mismatched dies. That created extremely rare variations, double dies, off-centers, and even coins struck on the wrong metal planchets. When these mistakes escape the mint undetected, they become legends in the collector world, and here's the catch: you'd never spot most of these with just a casual glance. That $1.3 million penny? It looked completely normal at first, the double die obverse, one of the most valuable errors out there. This is when the die that strikes the coin shifts slightly during production, causing letters and numbers on the front to appear doubled. On the 1968 D, this doubling can be seen on Liberty, In God We Trust, and even the date itself. Extremely rare. These are coins struck on metal blanks meant for other denominations, like dimes or foreign coins. If your 1968 D penny is thinner or silver colored, don't spend it. Get it authenticated. Then we have off-center strikes, where the coin's design isn't properly centered. The more dramatic the misalignment, the more valuable it becomes. And finally, high-grade mint state examples. Even a regular 1968 D penny, with no errors at all, can fetch thousands if it's in pristine condition. We're talking about coins that look like they were just minted yesterday, but don't go running to your coin jar just yet. There's a twist. What shocks most people isn't just the value of these coins, but where they're discovered. A retired Navy veteran in Texas found one at the bottom of a drawer in his garage. It had been sitting there for over 30 years, mixed with loose screws and paper clips. A single father in Michigan spotted one while helping his daughter with a school coin project. A mechanic in Nevada used it as part of a tip jar display until a customer pointed out something looked strange about the lettering. These stories have one thing in common: ordinary folks, living ordinary lives, suddenly waking up to extraordinary fortunes. So you might be wondering, how do you actually sell one of these coins? If you find one, you'll need to send the coin to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll examine the coin under high magnification, assign it a grade, and verify any known errors. Once it's certified, you've got the real deal. Then comes valuation. Auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stacksbauers specialize in high-end coins. They've sold 1968 D varieties for hundreds of thousands, and in one legendary case, that $1.3 million sale, you don't need to be an expert. You just need to know where to turn, and here's the kicker: possibly hundreds of these valuable 1968 D coins out there. Unfound. Undiscovered. Hiding in jars, boxes, wallets, and old coffee tins across the country, which brings us to a question every man should ask himself tonight: what if that one old penny in your glove compartment, the one you meant to toss years ago, is worth over $1 million? You don't need to be a collector. You don't need a fancy magnifying glass or years of experience. All you need is awareness, curiosity, and a little time to look through what you already have. Remember, every $1 million coin ever discovered was once just another coin in circulation. It didn't get valuable overnight. It got valuable because someone took the time to notice what others overlooked, which brings us to this final point, one that could change your life. This isn't just a video about a coin. It's a wake-up call. In a world where prices go up and value goes down, these small pieces of copper and zinc might be your chance to finally get ahead. Whether you're retired, just starting your journey, or somewhere in between, it's not too late. Start checking your coins. Look through your drawers. Ask your parents or grandparents about the change they've been saving for decades. You never know what's sitting there, waiting to be found, and if you do find that elusive 1968 D $1 million penny, don't forget who told you first. Subscribe for more coin hunting tips, market updates, and unbelievable stories just like this. Because every penny has a story, and yours might be the one that makes history. You might want to check that old jar of coins sitting in the back of your drawer. Yes, the one covered in dust. Because what if I told you that a plain-looking penny from 1995, without even a mint mark, could be your ticket to a $1.4 million payday? You heard that right. A single Lincoln Memorial penny. No mint mark. And yet, it's one of the most talked about coins in the collecting world today. In today's video, we're diving deep into the fascinating story of the 1995 no mint mark Lincoln penny. We'll explore why this coin is worth a fortune, the surprising details behind its value, how to identify one in your own pocket change, and exactly what collectors are looking for. Stick around, because by the time we're done, you might be looking at pennies in a whole new light. Let's start with some basics. The Lincoln penny has been in circulation since 1909, commemorating the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Over the decades, it's seen a number of design changes and minting variations. Now fast forward to 1995. At first glance, there was nothing unusual about that year's penny. It featured the same Lincoln Memorial reverse used since 1959. It was struck mostly at the Philadelphia Mint, which, by tradition, didn't use a mint mark on its coins, but hidden among the millions of pennies struck that year, a few were different. And over time, coin collectors began to whisper about an oddity. A minor detail. Barely noticeable to the naked eye, but a feature so rare and unique, it would make this penny one of the most desirable coins in the world. Hold on to that thought, because we're about to dig into what makes this coin so valuable. The answer is a combination of factors. First and foremost, we have to talk about a phenomenon known as a double die. In simple terms, this occurs when the coin die, the metal piece used to stamp the coin's design, is misaligned during production. The result? A doubling effect on parts of the coin's features, usually most visible in the date or the letters die. In the case of the 1995 penny, some coins were struck with a strong double die on the obverse side. Specifically, the words Liberty and In God We Trust appeared doubled under magnification. But here's where things get interesting. While most of these error coins have a mint mark or come from known batches, a few without a mint mark slip through the cracks, and these are incredibly rare. One such example was recently sold at auction for a staggering $1.4 million. Yes, for a coin that many people would overlook or toss in a tip jar. Because now, let's find out how to tell if you've got one of these beauties in your collection. Great question. The key is in the detail. You'll need a magnifying glass or coin loupe to inspect your coin closely. Look at the word Liberty. The letters should appear thick, with a clear doubling effect. Same goes for In God We Trust. It's not just shadowing, it looks like each letter was stamped twice. These valuable specimens come from the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally did not mark its coins. So your penny should have no letter under the year, no D, no S. Condition matters. Coins in uncirculated or mint state condition are worth far more. Look for sharp details, minimal wear, and no scratches. If your coin has been handled heavily, it might still be worth something, just not in the millions. But before you run off checking your change jar, let's talk about the story behind how this coin first got its fame. Because it wasn't an overnight success, back in the late 90s and early 2000s, word began to spread among collectors about a strange 1995 penny with an unusual look. Dealers at coin shows started bringing microscopes to their booths just to examine pennies more closely. Eventually, certified grading companies like PCGS and NGC began confirming these double die varieties. Then came the big sales. One collector sold a specimen in near-perfect condition for over $50,000. That caused a ripple effect. Prices began to climb. And soon, the 1995 double die penny became a legend. While many people knew about the version with a mint mark, the no mint mark version was flying under the radar. That's what makes it so special. It wasn't until one incredibly well-preserved example, no mint mark, strong doubling, flawless surface, hit the auction block that the game changed. A jaw-dropping $1.4 million. The collector who sold it had no idea it was that valuable when he first tucked it away. And now here's the question: what if you've already seen this coin before, and just didn't know what you were holding? You see, coin collecting isn't just a hobby. It's a world of hidden knowledge. Of secrets waiting to be uncovered. And timing is everything. A penny worth $1 today might be worth $1 million tomorrow, if it's rare enough and in demand. That's why serious collectors don't just look at the date. They look at details. They study mint errors. They know which years to watch and which varieties to hold onto. The 1995 no mint mark Lincoln penny is a perfect example of that. It's the kind of coin that could be hiding in a roll from the bank or buried deep in your granddad's cigar box. It's overlooked by millions, and yet, it has made millionaires. So what should you do if you find one? You're going to want to stay tuned for that, because in this next part, I'm going to walk you through how to sell it, safely, smartly, and for top dollar. Let's say you've checked your penny, and the doubling is clear. No mint mark. It's in amazing shape. What now? First, don't clean it. Ever. Cleaning coins actually reduces their value. Collectors want originality. Next, take high-resolution photos and send them to a reputable coin grading service. PCGS and NGC are the top two. They'll authenticate and grade your coin. This is essential if you want to fetch high-end collector interest. Major coin auctions like Heritage Auctions or Stacksbowers can get you national exposure and competitive bidding. Some high-end collectors may offer more in a private deal, especially if the coin is graded MS67 or higher. Be careful here. Sites like eBay have a huge audience, but you'll need to know your buyer and protect yourself with proper insurance and documentation. And finally, keep an eye on timing. Coin values fluctuate. If a similar penny just broke a record, that's the perfect moment to sell. But before we wrap this up, let me ask you something. What if the next coin you find changes your life? That's the real magic of coin collecting. It's not just about value, it's about discovery, history, mystery, and the thrill of the hunt. So tonight, after this video ends, go find that old change jar. Open that dusty drawer. Check the bottom of that glove box in your car. Because a simple penny from 1995, one without a mint mark, one with a little doubling in just the right place, could be sitting there quietly waiting to be found. You won't just be holding copper. You'll be holding history. And maybe, just maybe, a $1.4 million miracle. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more coin secrets. And remember, sometimes, the smallest coins carry the biggest stories. Hey there, coin hunters and treasure seekers. Let me ask you a question right out the gate. What if I told you there could be a single penny hiding in your old junk drawer, in a coffee can full of spare change, or even in your grandfather's cigar box that could change your entire life? That's not a fantasy. It's a fact. Because there's one particular penny from 1981 without a mint mark that has shocked collectors, stunned investors, and turned the heads of millionaires. This little copper coin, once worth just a cent, is now valued at a jaw-dropping $1.50 million. Grab your favorite drink, sit back, and get ready for a wild ride through history, mystery, and money as we explore the incredible story of the 1981 no mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny. And trust me, you're going to want to stick around until the end. There's a twist that most collectors don't even know about, one that could be the key to unlocking your very own hidden fortune. Ronald Reagan was preparing to take office, MTV hadn't even launched yet, and the average gallon of gas cost around $1.25. Amid all that, the US Mint was busy churning out billions, and I mean billions, of Lincoln Memorial pennies. These weren't rare at the time. In fact, pennies from 1981 were so common, people barely noticed them. They jingled in pockets, piled up in cash registers, and got lost between couch cushions. But here's where things take a turn. In 1981, the Philadelphia Mint was still producing coins without a mint mark. That meant if your penny didn't have a little D or S under the date, it likely came from Philly. But something unexpected happened. A small number of those 1981 pennies were struck with such unusual precision, from an ultra-rare die, that they didn't just look different, they were different. Collectors started noticing that some of these coins had strange surface features, odd die polish lines, and highly detailed Lincoln busts that looked sharper than the rest. These weren't your run-of-the-mill pennies, and that's when the hunt began. It's not just age. It's not just copper. It's not even just the lack of a mint mark. It's a perfect storm of rarity, condition, history, and one very specific detail, something known as die variety. That's when a coin is struck from a die that has an unusual, and often unintentional, difference in design. In the case of the 1981 no mint mark penny, only a few coins were struck using a transitional die intended for proof coins. That means these coins were never supposed to enter general circulation, but somehow, they did. A coin with exceptional detail, deep strikes, mirror-like fields, and virtually no wear. One of these coins recently surfaced and sold at auction for a whopping $1.5 million. You heard that right, a single penny. Gone from pocket change to life-changing. But here's the kicker: experts believe more of these coins exist. They could be sitting unnoticed in penny jars, old dressers, or rolls of coins at your local bank. Think about that for a moment. You could be one bankroll away from a fortune. Alright, let's get into the details. You need to know what to look for. First, flip the coin to the front, also called the obverse. You should see Abraham Lincoln facing right with the words, "In God We Trust" above and "Liberty" to the left. The date 1981 should be on the right side. Now, here's the first clue: there should be no mint mark under the date. Second, check the surface. These rare pennies often have a mirror-like finish. That's a telltale sign they were struck using a proof die. If the coin looks shinier than others or reflects light differently, that's a good sign. Third, examine the fine details of Lincoln's beard, hair, and jacket. If they're unusually sharp, almost like they were carved with a scalpel, you may have a gemmy flip to the back, the reverse side. You should see the Lincoln Memorial. Look closely. Some rare varieties have slight doubling in the columns or in the word United States of America. And finally, condition matters. Even if your coin has all the right signs, it must be in near perfect shape. We're talking about a grade of MS67 or higher. That's mint state, meaning it's basically untouched, which brings us to an important question. If you find a 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln penny that checks the boxes, don't rush off to your local pawn shop. This is where most people mess up. They undersell. Your first step is to avoid cleaning the coin. Do not try to polish it. That will ruin the surface and destroy its value. Next, get in touch with a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll authenticate and grade the coin, giving it an official certificate and sealed slab. Once graded, your coin becomes a marketable asset. That's when the big auction houses step in, like Heritage Auctions or Stacksbowers. And here's the exciting part: investors and collectors are actively searching for these rare errors and transitional coins. They'll pay big money for the right piece, especially one with provenance, meaning it's certified and documented. This coin could pay off your house. Fund your retirement. Send your kids to college. All from 1 copper cent. Recently, whispers have begun circulating in the coin community about an even rarer 1981 penny. These are coins believed to be struck using experimental dies, possibly in testing for the zinc transition that occurred the following year in 1982. They carry traits of both copper and zinc, and their weight falls in between. Only a couple of these hybrid coins have been verified. The price could soar past $2 million. Imagine being one of the first to identify a new coin variety. That's the kind of discovery that lands you in the numismatic history books. And here's the suspenseful part: experts believe the majority of these coins are still out there. They're hiding in plain sight. So now you know the secret of the 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. It's not just a coin. It's a time capsule, a mystery, a treasure waiting to be found. If you've got a jar of old change, go through it. Look twice at every 1981 penny. No mint mark? Shiny finish? Sharp detail? It could be your golden ticket, because the truth is, we're living in a time where information is power, and those who know what to look for are already cashing in. This isn't just a story about money. It's about the thrill of discovery, the joy of history, and the possibility that wealth is sitting right beneath our noses. So grab your magnifying glass, roll up your sleeves, and start searching. Your fortune might be just 1 penny away. Make sure to subscribe for more rare coin stories and millionaire discoveries hiding in your spare change. And remember, the next great treasure may already be in your pocket.